Hey guys, welcome back to another episode in our Exploring Careers series. Today I'm joined by Linden, who is a marine technician in the Royal Australian Navy. Thanks for jumping on today, Linden.
Thanks for having me, Mitchell.
Mate, are you able to walk me through what inspired you to choose a trades role in the Royal Australian Navy?
Yeah, so from a young age, I've always wanted to serve in the military, and growing up in Newcastle, I'm always down at the beach, around the ocean, that sort of thing. So mum and dad sort of knew from a young age that I would join the Navy, more so the Army and Air Force. The reason I chose a trades role was because I have a mild interest in, figuring out how things work and why they do what they do, all the internal nitty-gritty stuff, how something happens, that sort of thing. Plus, I really wanted to just get my foot in the door and go to sea. And I found that Navy had a priority job for MTs at the time. So I thought, that was perfect. And yeah, just slid right in there.
Perfect. So you joined the Navy, and then how did you end up becoming a marine technician? How did that come about?
So we left, so once you go through all the recruiting process up in Newcastle, we all got on a plane and flew down to Melbourne, where all the sailor training is done at HMA Cerberus down there. So we went down there, and that was August of 2014. So I spent 11 weeks in recruit school, where you're taught how to march, how to iron your uniform, all that sort of stuff, how to become a sailor, basically. So Navy teaches you to become a sailor first and then specialise in your job after that. So once we did recruit school, went on to CAT school, we call it, so category school. So through there for MTs, it's about 18 months when I went through. It's chopped and changed a bit these days. But we were taught basically how to use hand tools and hacksaw blades, hammers, how to read technical drawings, did a bit of welding, pulled apart some pumps and that sort of thing. And by that time, we went out in the fleet, and now I can confidently say that I can pull apart an engine, put it back together, and back to working order. So from the beginnings of nothing, basically crawled out of the water, and here we are.
All right, so I want to touch on that a bit more, because I'm not going to pretend that I know what a marine technician does exactly. I know you've touched on some of the things. Are you able to walk us through what it is that a marine technician does?
Sure. So anything that moves or almost makes a noise on a ship, a marine technician looks after. So a ship can't leave the wharf without MTs, or marine technicians, I should say. So anything from engines to gearboxes, shafts. So that's my core role there. And from there, we specialize in electrical or refrigeration, also basic domestic stuff. Like we have guys that work on doors and hatches, keep the sewage systems up and running, ventilation and aircon. Anything that makes the ship habitable, really, and keep the lights running, that sort of thing as well. So,
okay, so there's obviously a lot to that. Sounds exciting. So you would have picked up a lot of skills, I'm assuming, at the Navy. They taught you a lot of this stuff. So what skills have you picked up in your role?
So before Navy, you could tell me to open my car bonnet and I look at it and say, yep, that's an engine. No idea what I'm looking at. But now I can confidently say I can service my own car. A lot of the skills you learn, a lot of guys new on the outside. So a lot of MTs work on their own cars on the weekends, that sort of thing. But I just do it through work, basically. But I can get along just fine with the skills I have. So the training is really good that way. So it brings you from a level, basically, of where you know almost nothing, like which end of a hammer is which sort of thing. And they would teach you right up to where Navy requires your skill set to be. So I specialize in propulsion systems. So I'm trained to work on anything from propulsion engines, so like our gas turbine and main engines, to the ship's shaft and propellers and gearboxes.
Perfect. And a lot of people out there obviously, know the Navy, know the Army, know the Air Force from maybe what they see in movies or on TV. And a lot of that, a lot of it's not true. A lot of it's preconceived ideas. Did you have any misconceptions about the Navy before you joined?
Yeah, I was the same. The only thing I really knew about the Navy was from movies and that sort of thing. But I thought that you would have spent 90% of your time out at sea, on a warship somewhere in the middle of the ocean. But that's not the case at all. Average at most 6 months of the year, maybe you're posted to a ship, but then you have time alongside where you're posted to a base or you're posted to the ship that's in a maintenance period alongside. So you're not always away at sea, but you can choose to go back to sea, back to back on ships if you so wish. But there's always time to get home and get that respite sort of thing. So
yeah, and I'd love to expand on that a bit more because, as you said, you can be doing a lot of different things. Do you have an average day? Is there an average 9 to 5 for you, or are you doing different things all the time? How does that look?
So at sea, you sort of, it's not really a 9 to 5. You split up into either day hands and watchkeepers. So watchkeepers, the whole 24-hour period of a ship at sea is split into like 4-hour watches. So obviously people have to be up and awake to keep the ship moving, fighting, that sort of thing. So you do your 4-hour watches and then come off watch, that sort of thing. But if you're a day hand, you're doing your 7 till 4 hours, keep the ship maintaining and doing maintenance, that sort of thing. That's the sea. But alongside, I rock up to work at 7:30 and finish at 3:30. So yeah, go to work. We all have a big toolbox meeting and figure out what's going on for the day. And I work over at Henderson at the moment. That's the shipbuilding yard in WA. So I'll rock up there at 7:30 and we all get together, have a meeting. Okay, these are the jobs we've got on for today. And then we'll go to the ships alongside and get some of those maintenance jobs done to get the ships back to sea.
Awesome. And no doubt you would have in your role seen some pretty cool things and experience and stuff that the average person wouldn't. Anything that sticks out in your mind as something really interesting that you might have experienced in your role with the Navy?
So I'll bring us back to a pre-COVID era.
Yeah.
So I was posted to HMAS Ballarat. That was my first warship I was posted to back in 2017. So we pulled into Singapore for Anzac Day, and we pulled in there with the Kiwis, so the New Zealand Navy, and that was Tamana and Endeavour. There was two ships that were there. We went to Kranji War Memorial there in Singapore. We did a dawn service there, like full ceremonials and everything, and that was quite moving. And we watched the Kiwis do a haka for Anzac Day dawn service, and just watching it in person as opposed to like on a TV screen is completely different. And I think the cherry on top for that moment too was my great uncle fought there in World War II, and he died there before their regiment got withdrawn from Singapore. And I imagine to find his grave there, so that was pretty special.
Wow, amazing! I can only imagine how special that would have been for you. And kind of touching on that as well, this kind of moves into my next question in regards to some of your personal career highlights that you've had during your time with the Navy. What kind of sticks out in your mind now? So
in addition to my core role as an MT, you can do out of category sort of courses and training and qualifications, that sort of thing. So people can volunteer for boarding party or flight deck team. So they're the guys that help marshal down helicopters that land and lash them down to the deck, that sort of thing. I volunteered to be a ship's diver. So they're not clearance divers by any chance. We don't touch explosives, that sort of thing. But our job is a team of about 6 to 10 people. Our job is when the ships stop in the water to go down and look at the propellers and conduct maintenance down there, or most of the time is to cut off like fishing nets that have got wrapped up in the propeller shaft. So a lot of those sticks out in my mind, I know for sure. Like last year I was posted to HMAS Warramunga, and off the coast of Darwin, far enough away from crocodiles obviously, but out in the middle of the ocean, you couldn't see anything for miles. I think the ocean was over a couple k's deep, but it was just blue abyss, and we're out there, in these dive sets, and the ship's like above us, everyone's like watching out, seeing what we're doing and getting their work done. So I got to go for a swim too. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, perfect. Happy days. So we've spoken a lot about your role, a lot about your work life. What about outside of that? Do you get much time off? And if you do, what are you doing when you're not working?
So at the moment, I get every weekend off unless I'm duty. But being posted to a base, duties at the moment once every 3 months, and then you'll be on duty for 24 hours, whether that be various jobs around the base sort of thing. So obviously someone has to keep the base running.
What about your friends and family? Were they happy when you decided, hey, this is the path I'm going to go down? Were they worried, excited? I know personally, my mum, if I said I was joining the Australian Defence Force or the Royal Australian Army, she'd have a panic attack. What about your friends and family? Were they thrilled, or what was their response?
I think everyone sort of knew it was coming, they just didn't know when. Like the initial shock and like worriness didn't last for that long, but mum is a pretty big fan of mine. She always likes to tell everyone how proud she is of me. And friends and family, yeah, they're all incredibly supportive. And whenever I'm over there back on the East Coast, once, COVID and that sort of thing finishes, I'll no doubt get millions of messages to go catch up and have a beer with everyone. So yeah, heaps of support from family.
What advice would you give to anyone who's listening and said, you know what, this sounds really good. I'm super excited about this. I'd like to learn more about, joining the Navy or, in looking into a career in the Navy. What advice would you give those people?
Keep an eye out for open days. Get in contact with DFR especially. Watch heaps of YouTube videos, like interviews such as this. Check out the Royal Australian Navy Facebook page for stuff on there as well. But I think what you really have to do is just take the plunge, jump in and see how you go. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Easily the best job I've ever done, and love it each day.
Perfect, mate. Well, it's been great hearing your story, great hearing about what you do and what life is like in the Royal Australian Navy. Of course, if you do want to learn more, then as you mentioned before, you can jump onto all the socials, you can jump onto the Australian Defence Force page on explorecareers.com.au. We'll leave all the relevant links in the comments below so you can go and have a look around. But thank you so much for jumping on today. It's been great hearing your story, and look forward to seeing what's involved in the future for you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Mitchell.
No worries. Thanks.
Cheers.